What is leadership and what does it mean to be a leader? Well, that's a great question. And today we're going to hear from a guest, a gentleman who coaches, trains, and teaches on leadership. So he's actually known as what's called the leader's leader. So today is a great day. You might be asking yourself, but what if I have never led anybody, or what if I've ever had failure in the past? Well, I think we've all had failure and we all have a past, but guess what? It doesn't define you. So it's a great day to learn what it means to be a leader. My name is Buddy Puckett. I'm the host of this podcast called Conversation with Buddy. This is episode 100. And today we're going to be talking about leadership. And I get the privilege of interviewing a guy named Jacob Espinoza. Welcome, Jacob.
Thanks for having me, man. I'll be honest, you're somebody that's held with really high regard in the community. I know you do a ton of great work. You're making a positive impact on a lot of lives. So to hear you say things like that about me, that feels really good, man. So thank you.
Well, hey, I appreciate the kind words, and I feel the same way about you because oftentimes we don't actually believe that about ourselves. Like, do we matter? And I know people on here, we're going to talk about leadership today and do I even qualify to be a leader? Am I disqualified? Well, I would ask myself that question too. So hearing from you, that is good. It's good news. And
yes.
So
I think especially as men,
yeah.
a lot of times we get older and we don't have people giving us positive reinforcement.
Right.
Once we get out of high school, maybe we had a teacher
right.
or we had a coach. But then after that, we become adults. I think sometimes we have to kind of figure it out. And we're not as good about giving flowers to each other, right? I think there's a lot of women support groups out there that are lifting each other up. But I feel like we kind of take the approach that we're fine on our own. I don't need anything. But the reality is we're all better together, right? We're better when we're in this together. We're better when we have a team and a community around us. And especially when that community is there to uplift each other.
Yeah.
And when somebody does something good, calling it out and making sure they understand the value that they bring.
Yeah. It's funny, we're talking about this. I mean, you talked about becoming a coach around 2017, and I was just talking to Travis Youngs out there. He loves you, by the way.
I love him, man.
A lot of things to say about you. I'm just going to pose a question, and we'll come back to it. This is Travis's question. I'm going to find it here in a sec here. What is the greatest challenge that you have of developing others? Pause. You're not going to answer that yet because I want to introduce you, but that was a great question that Travis posed. And I thought, you know what? We're talking about leadership today. This is episode 100. Thanks for being here, by the way. We appreciate you. Let me introduce you, and then we're going to dive into leadership a little bit. I want to hear a little bit more about Jacob, where you're born. I know you're a dad of two boys. Okay, so first of all, you were born in Salem.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
What high school did you go to?
I went to McNary.
McNary, okay.
Yep.
So you're a Kaiser guy.
I lived in the January area, and the school. So it was in Salem.
Yeah.
But the school district fed into McNary. So I actually never lived. I lived in Kaiser for a little bit after, right when I was young in marriage. But I grew up most primarily in Northeast Salem.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you went to U of O and became an alumni. So you were studying advertising, and then became a leadership mentor and content creator. So your degree is in advertising.
Yes. I essentially my senior year of college, I realized this is not really what I want to do with my life. And a lot of my friends at University of Oregon that were studying advertising as well, they're moving to New York and San Francisco, and they had internships set up, and I just really wasn't interested in moving to a big city. I got married right out of college, and we had our family here, our support group here. So I kind of just got a job and figured my life out. But I kind of think I used my degree to some capacity, but not specifically. Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you went to U of O and then got married shortly after?
Yeah, it was the summer after we got married.
Okay, so you guys had dated through college.
Yeah, we met in college. She played basketball at Lane. I played basketball at Lynn Benton Community College for a couple of years.
Okay.
She ended up transferring to Willamette. I went to University of Oregon, so we flip-flopped. I was living in Salem, going to Lynn Benton. She was living in Eugene, going to Lane Community College, and then we flip-flopped. And right after college, got married. So
okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's see. Balancing his professional aspirations with his role as father, he specializes in helping dads develop business strategies and also prioritize family time. That's where your Dad and Company comes in?
Yeah, so
the
the
Instagram
Dad
account?
and Company is a community that I'm building.
Yeah.
Which is something that I've found, and there's a lot of data right now that supports this as well around the loneliness that men are feeling, and a lot of men feel like nobody really knows who they are. They don't have friends. Being a business owner can be a lonely thing. Being a dad can be a lonely thing. It's hard to be vulnerable and authentic when you feel like you have to be strong all the time, and it can be challenging to show weaknesses to your team or to your family. Like, you want people to feel like you're put together.
Yeah.
And so we've been having meetings, some virtual, some in person, with dads that are business owners. And it's been powerful, the conversations that have come out of that, and just allowing people to leave understanding, like, I'm not the only one struggling with this. Like, there's nothing wrong with me. This is just part of the experience of, being a dad and being a business owner, being a person.
Yeah.
And so it's been great to build that community and provide outlets for people to connect. And I really feel like my role in this community is to set the table so people want to join. Because once great people get there, like, the conversations happen, the questions happen, the learning happens on its own. I feel like if I can just set the table and create something that people want to be part of, momentum will build, and it'll be a powerful tool to change a lot of lives.
Got it. Is the Dad and Company, is that a local group? Or I know you also have a Leaders Lens, reaches 23,000 people nationwide, maybe worldwide.
Yeah.
But the Dad and Company, is that just more of a local group?
So it's heavily focused in Salem, just because my network's in Salem. We've been able to do local events. So we definitely have a high percentage of people in Salem, but we have people in Mexico City. We have people in Toronto. So it's people all over the nation that are joining some of these calls, and we're really just getting started with it.
Yeah.
So it's been pretty informal right now, just individual invitations, Google Calendar invites. But starting in July, we're going to kind of flip the switch and start doing some marketing and see what we can do.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, with experiences ranging from entry-level roles to leadership consulting for a Fortune 500 company, Espinoza's journey is marked by his ability to forge effective relationships and a creative approach to leadership. Sound about right?
I love that.
Yeah.
I'm still in that one.
Come on.
Yeah.
His weekly newsletter, Leaders Lens, breaks down leadership principles for an audience of over 23,000 leaders all over the country. And then I added, he has 2 Instagram channels, Dad and Company, What's Happening Salem. By the way, I reached out to my buddy Mike Peterson, who introduced you and I, 6 months ago, a year ago?
Yeah.
I said, hey, what do you want me to ask Jacob, or what do you want me to expose? And really, that was his main thing, is like the 2 channels that you have going. And we'll get into those a little bit, which is awesome. And then lastly is, my question was, what made you start these Instagram channels? How does it fit into your long-term vision of leadership? So let's dive into that first question that Travis asked, is because you coach a lot of people, and some people aren't ready to be coached. Would you say that's true?
For sure.
And
Yeah.
Okay, so what is the greatest challenge of developing others as you coach people? Talk about that real quick, because we'll just dive into that.
Yeah.
And
it's been part of the transition I've really enjoyed from moving, where I was at T-Mobile as a leadership development consultant with their customer care team, where I was working with a lot of managers and leaders, and some of them were like, weren't as invested in developing themselves, right? It was, this is a job, like, I'm doing my best, like, I'm good with that. So moving from that to a place where now I'm working with people who are investing their money, so they're invested in themselves.
Yeah.
They're not coming to calls like with their guards up. They're coming to calls like, I want to get the most out of this investment.
I'm paying for this. Come on, man.
I'm paying for this. Like, yeah, exactly. Give me something. I want to grow. Here's something I'm challenged with right now. So it's been nice seeing that transition, where now I'm working with people who are invested in themselves, want to grow, and who find us compatible as well. Like, if you're to that place where they're putting money down and they're paying me monthly, like, they see a compatibility. They understand the value that I bring.
Yeah.
I think working in corporate culture, like, I was trying to do my best to connect with people, but for some people, I probably wasn't the right fit, and that's okay. Like, they probably needed some other type of guidance or different type of person to provide it to them. I was at a different place in my life as well, where I wasn't as developed as I am now with the tools that I have in developing others. But it's just been nice having that transition of now working with people who are ready and eager for development. I think a shift that I had that was really powerful for me, and as a leader, I feel like I did it well, where I really focused on the things people were doing right. And I understood how that built confidence, and it would help people perform at a higher level than they had in the past. Because a lot of times when people are doing things wrong, they hear about all the wrong things that they're doing. And so you have this kind of downward spiral that happens where you make a mistake, you're criticized for it, you lose your confidence, right? You're less confident because of it. And so it becomes this kind of downward spiral. Something I did a pretty good job with is like, let me flip that. Like when somebody makes a mistake, I'm not going to ignore the mistake. I'll address it. But I also want to focus on the things that that person is doing well because I want to help build their confidence. I want to make sure they understand the value that they bring. When I got into coaching and consulting, I think my initial approach was I need these people to see my value, which means I need to tell them what they're doing wrong. And like, people don't want to hear that. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. And how'd that work out? I mean, what were some of those responses?
You get a lot of defense. People weren't coming to me like for like a second conversation. And I was like, why? I gave you great feedback. Like why? I didn't understand at the point. And then for some reason I realized like the things I'm preaching is focus on strengths. Yeah. It's build that foundation. And like for some reason I wasn't practicing that when I was coaching or consulting. And so since I've had that breakthrough, it's made the job a lot easier because people don't always understand the value that they bring. There's the analogy that the fish is the last one that knows it's in water. It's just natural. And I think the same thing is exactly true with our strengths. Like these things come so easy to us. They're so natural to us that we might feel it's nothing special. We might feel like if I can do this, everybody can do this. Right. But the reality is that's not true. And there's things that each individual brings that's special that will allow them to achieve their goals and overcome obstacles in a unique way. But sometimes it takes somebody from the outside to recognize that for them to see it in themselves.
No, I think that's well said. And I asked Travis Youngs when I came in here, I said, hey, you know Jacob? He goes, yeah. And he started going off on I said, what do you love about Jacob? And really, he says, he listens well. I feel like I'm actually heard when I'm talking to him. And that was pretty cool. So first question for you is, do you coach mostly men? And then the second question is there a common theme that you hear with most men? So you can answer that according. Maybe you coach females as well. Yeah,
primarily men, but not entirely. I do have a couple female clients, but I think the common themes are like the need if like you have it all together. Definitely, lack of friendship is a pretty common theme as well.
Wow,
where a lot of people just don't have community. They're so focused on building their business, then they try to spend the remaining time with their family. And there's like this guilt that is felt of like, how do I make time for friends if like I barely have enough time to spend with my kids or my wife or my partner or whatever, or I feel like my business is struggling. Like I need to be spending time there. But like iron sharpens iron. We all need communities.
I know that verse.
We all need squads around us that are going to help us be better. And we need to do things that we enjoy. If we're constantly stressed out, we're not finding time to refill our cups and just put ourselves in a good place. We're not going to be as effective when we're with our kids and showing them how much we love them, when we're with our partner and showing them how much we love them, or at work and trying to make clear-headed decisions without taking that time to step away and unplug.
So when you think, you mentioned your kids and filling your cup, how do you lead your boys, and then how does Jacob fill his own cup so he can go out and fill other people's cup? Because that's who you are.
100%. Yeah, it is definitely I feel like I have to be more intentional about it because I preach it so much. I'm like, I need to make sure I'm practicing
people are watching
as
you,
well. Exactly, right? I don't want to be the person that's like, talking about like being a great dad and unplugging. And first I'll recognize like being a dad is a journey. Like nobody's doing it perfectly. It's just about like doing your best and figuring it out. And by the time you like feel like you're doing a pretty good job with your kid, like they're growing and evolving, and now they're a different person. So you have to kind of like recalibrate how you approach and how you communicate with them. So I think for me, hopefully I'm doing a good job with this, but really just listening and like understanding my kids' journeys and recognizing that like what I want for my kids isn't necessarily what's going to be best for them, right? Like I have my ideas of like what I'd like for them to do, but I also need to remember like they're 9 and 11, like they're kids, and like they don't need to have 5-year plans. They don't need to know what they're going to be in life. They don't need to like wake up and like work out in the morning. You know what I mean? Like we don't need these sort of things. But really trying to be in tune with like what they're passionate about, what's fun for them, and trying to nurture that as much as possible. Yeah. So my youngest son currently, I'll give an example. He's just like in a creative streak right now. He's just always wanting to create. Recently, he's asking like, how do I make money? And so I was like, well, one option is you can make a digital product and like you can sell it online. And so we kind of talked about that a little bit. So he ended up writing a book about his like little stuffed teddy bear. It's a little dog he's had since he was born. And we put it on Gumroad, the site where you can like upload PDFs and sell digital books. And I like announced it to my Twitter following. And so like like every time like somebody purchases a book, I'll let him know about it. And so he did that. He's like looking at art projects. So he's always wanted to create. So I'm like, okay, how do I be part of this? Like, how do I play a role where I'm encouraging this and nurturing it? And even though like part of me is like, we should be working on your handles for basketball season next year. Like if that's not what he's into, like I want to nurture what he's passionate about and make him excited about that. Partly because I know right now we're at a unique age where he still wants to hang out with me. And so I want to make sure he knows I'm invested in him so that when he gets to the older ages, like we have that strong relationship where he knows dad's listening and he cares about him as a person. And I'm more passionate about him finding his journey than I am about like my own personal agendas of like what I feel like his life should be like or where, because I think sometimes we want our kids to learn the lessons we learned without making the mistakes that we made to learn the lessons, right? So trying to just do my best to be there and support how I can.
Yeah, I think a lot of parents, we want our kids to avoid our mistakes. Like here, I learned, my mom and dad didn't really talk about some of their past behaviors. I did learn over time that they weren't perfect and maybe they did things they shouldn't have done. All my past, I decided, I have 2 daughters, and that if they want to know, they get to hear the full story.
Yeah.
And they're going to learn from my mistake. I'm not going to tell them not to do it.
Yeah.
But if you don't want to go to jail or lose your license, don't do the things I've done.
For sure.
So I don't know that all parents do that. I think they're embarrassed by and they don't want their kids to suffer and go through pain. But guess what? Pain is the greatest teacher we can teach our kids.
Absolutely. I
always told my daughter, I love pain. It's the greatest lesson. It's the greatest teacher that you'll ever experience.
Yeah. And I think especially if we're intentional about learning from our mistakes, like we can have that part of the story, which will allow our kids to see like mistakes are part of life, but you can learn and grow from it. I think if you lived your life in a place where like you hide your mistakes and you don't like, you just kind of shove them to the side and you don't think anything of it or you blame other people, it's pretty tough to like teach a valuable lesson from that. Right. So I think somebody like you that's done a good job, like just building a life that like you can be proud of, you know what I mean? And like with great relationships and being able to talk about some of the things that have allowed you to accomplish that is super powerful. And that's a little bit of a tangent, but.
Well, and I wasn't always transparent about my journey, I don't want to talk about my sins. I'll talk about yours, but not mine. Well, hey, as we sometimes we look at leaders like you and we go, man, I'll never be as good as Jacob. Well, first of all, we're comparing. But I think sometimes people need to hear, has your life been perfect? Number one, what are some of those lessons along the way that you've learned? Because I know, you went through high school, college, got married, had kids. And how old are you right now?
41. I'll be 42 in November.
42 in November.
Yeah.
So 41 and a half. You've probably learned a few lessons along the way.
Yeah.
What are some of the, successes, some of those failures that have made you who you are today?
Yeah, I think if I think through like a time of my life, like so it's like 16 to 30, and people that know me have heard me talk about this, but 16 to 30, I pretty much partied. Like I drank, that was my identity. Like if I had extra money on the weekends, like it was at the bar. I was making music at the time. I was pursuing a career as a rapper, which some people around.
You're a rapper?
I was a rapper.
Okay.
I was like touring up and down the West Coast. I did way too many shows in Salem. But usually like when you do a show, it'd be like, you can drink for free at the bar, like because you're performing here. Yeah. And so I'd take advantage of that some nights, unfortunately. And I was newly married. Yeah. And so like I was at a place where I was getting home like 2:30 in the morning drunk, and like that's not a way to set the foundation for a relationship at all. So definitely have learned a lot from that experience. And as I'm now dating and like trying to find like a partner to spend the rest of my life with, I'm definitely much more intentional about what it takes to set the foundation for a relationship that I want to last through struggles and obstacles, because every relationship is going to have, those types of challenges, and be in a position with another person where we can like remain passionate about each other and be invested in the success of each other and be building on each other's successes and passions. And so I think like that piece is something I really take to heart, and I'm like really thinking through like in my next relationship, and like when I meet that person, I want to like invest in doing some of the things I wish I would have done in the previous relationship, which unfortunately did not work out. And I still care about her deeply and want nothing but the happiness for her. And she's an incredible mom for our kids. So I definitely am very grateful for that. But just thinking through in the future, like things that I could do different to.
Yeah. Okay. So after college, you guys get married right away.
Yeah.
Have kids at some point in time in the last 9 and 11 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
You went through a divorce.
Mm-hmm.
How long were you guys married?
We were married for 15 years.
15 years. And how divorce, I mean, unfortunately it happens, right?
Yeah.
Where nobody's immune from divorce.
Yeah.
I learned.
Yeah.
No matter who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And how have you recovered from that? How's that worked in your life?
Yeah. So I think I'm grateful I was sober throughout my that entire process. Like I was active in the gym. I had a good community. I was in church. I had, Christian men I was talking to for guidance, and I wasn't drinking at all because I saw how that could become such a slippery slope for people, because you have all this free time. Like I don't have my kids anyway. Like it's easy to find someone to drink with, and a lot of people are that's their approach. Like, hey, we should go get a drink together, which I knew they had good intention, so I wasn't critical of them. But at the same time, it's that's the last thing that I want right now is to process my emotions and deal with my own concerns, in that sort of a headspace. Yeah. So fortunately, I had the foresight to understand that wasn't going to be a good thing for me, at that period of my life. And I was in therapy, so I was talking to a therapist. So I was doing a lot of things allow me to work through the healing process of a separation. So I was grateful for that, and I think it did help. I mean, it hurts. You know what I mean? You're with somebody for 15 years, and even when you can recognize this isn't a good fit, and maybe it's best. You know what I mean? I think we even looking back at it, I'm what could I have done? What could we have done to make this work? But I mean, it's too late to be asking those questions. And what if? And even the questions of what if I would have done things different when I was 26? It's too late to ask that, but you still kind of wonder, how would those played out differently? Yeah.
And moving on from that, it's a question you can ask, but maybe at some point in time, let's don't ask that question anymore. Let's learn from it,
100%,
and move forward.
Yes.
How do your boys do?
I mean, it's hard initially. I think we did a really good job of keeping them in mind, and this is my perspective at least. But even talking with her mom and just whatever you're doing is working. If the kids are happy, and that meant a lot to me for sure. Yeah. We weren't bashing each other in front of them. We weren't. We didn't have lawyers fighting it out, and we were cordial throughout the entire thing.
Yeah.
And, so I think that helped with that piece of it. Yeah. And which takes two people, right, to be able to make that happen. And I'm grateful that I'm never concerned that she's going to bring somebody or do something that's going to put them at risk. And hopefully she feels the same about me. Yeah. But there definitely is a security that I know she's going to take care of them, and she's an incredible woman. You know what I mean? I feel blessed to have spent so much time with her, and I know that the kids are always excited to see me when it's their turn to be with me, and excited to see mom when it's their turn to be with mom. And so it's rough though, not having them around. And I definitely try to think through, okay, what can I do with this time to make it as valuable as possible, since I don't get to be with my kids, and also set up my life so that when I'm with my kids, I can be intentional and be present with them.
You guys were somewhere last week. We're texting back and forth.
Yeah, we went to Disneyland.
You went to Disneyland.
So Father's Day, I surprised them. We flew out of Salem Airport for the first time, which was a ton of fun. Really cool. And they had the flight straight to Burbank, which is where I prefer to fly into LA anyway, so it's perfect. We went to Disneyland the first day, California Adventure, and then we went to Universal Studios the second day, then flew back Wednesday morning. So a pretty quick trip, but a lot of fun for sure.
Time of their life.
Yeah, yeah.
It's funny, I was texting you, and I appreciate you go, hey, don't have time right now, I'm with my boys, which means you're being intentional. I'm actually paying attention to that. That's really important to me. Cool. You don't need it. I'm not that important compared to your boys. And I really mean that. Yeah. That's a good sign, by the way.
Appreciate that. I think it is good. I think it's hard as a business owners to set boundaries. And I think real estate agents kind of struggle with this the most is if I don't answer this phone call, I'm going to call the next real estate agent. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I think it's good to put yourself in a position where you can set boundaries. And it's I'm with dinner right now with my family. I'll call you back here. Or even setting the expectations up front. Like, hey, usually I'm with my kids from these times and I won't be available. If you leave me a message, I'll call you right back.
Yeah.
And just remind, because your kids don't know what you're doing when you're not with them, when you're ignoring them.
Right.
They just know that something is more important than me.
Boom.
Right. And so I think I really try to, even in the moments where I can't say yes, I try to not say no. And I try to say, yes, I want to do that. I just need to do these things first.
Yeah.
And I think it's just so it's not a rejection. It's just a like, yes, let's do that. But like, here's the reality. I need to make this happen. I'm making time for you though, because you're the priority.
Well, and I think those people that you're working with actually respect you more. And if somebody doesn't respect you, well, maybe you don't want to work with them anyway.
For sure.
For sure. Well, let's talk about coaching. You're a coach. You change people's lives. You teach on leadership. And like I posed, the first question is, what is leadership and are we called to be leaders? I'm going to say absolutely 100%. And our past doesn't define us. It doesn't disqualify us. We all have a past. I have one too. And this is not my story, but I got one too. How do you coach people? Let's say I'm a business guy. I want to scale my business. What do you have like a set of questions you ask people that figure out whether they're even coachable, and where can you coach somebody to?
Yeah, good question. I think it starts with letting them know, like, even if you're hiring me to help you with your leadership, or you're hiring me to help with like setting up systems, I'm your coach. So like, this is about you as a person. This is about you creating the life that you want, building the business you want so that it fits into your life. And there will be times we'll talk about marketing. There'll be times that we talk about like how to facilitate a team meeting, or if you're having conflict with one of your managers, like how to address that and make sure they get what they need. So those are all things that we'll talk about, but it's always through the lens of like you creating a life that you want. Mm-hmm. And so it starts with defining that. Like, what do you actually want? What is important to you? Well, I want to make $1 million a year. Okay, why? Like, why is that number important? Why did you pick that number and not 5 million or 500,000 or 100,000? Like, why is that number important? And then digging into, okay, now that we understand what's actually important to you, how do we create a life around that? And honestly, through the coaching conversations, more than anything, I'm just helping people make clear-headed decisions. Yeah. And the power of that is incredible. Like, the changes I've seen in some of my clients these last 6 months, it just has like kind of blown my mind where like you really start. And I think for me, it's just, it's definitely aligned with me hiring a different coach. I've seen a different like just trajectory in my own abilities. But like seeing the consistent impact, and now like really believing like, all right, I can do this. I can help anybody. And like having case studies of like how I've seen the impact is just powerful, and it's super empowering. And I have to remind myself, like, I've been self-employed for 7 months. Like, I'm brand new to this journey still. So I feel very grateful for the success that I've had so far. But now I'm like, man, I could go so much further. Like, I have so much potential, and I just feel really empowered and inspired. And I wake up every day with that energy. I had a kind of a moment of clarity on the trip to Disneyland. I'm like, what's holding me back right now? And it was drinking. Like, it was like, I'm dating. So like having a couple drinks with a date, hanging out with buddies a few times a month, like all those add up to moments where like, I'm just not waking up clear-headed. I'm not like getting in my morning routine because I didn't get to bed on time, or I didn't sleep great the night before, or whatever it might be. And so I've decided like I need another stint of just not having alcohol be part of my life at any level, which my dad loves because he's never been a fan. He doesn't drink. He never has drank in his life. So when it was hard for him. Like when I started drinking at 16, he's like, I don't drink. Like, why are you doing this? Because everything he would hear is like, kids drink because they see their parents drink. And he's like, I'm not doing that. Like, why is, so it's been hard for him for sure to see me kind of go through different moments of just alcohol use and abuse. And, so I'm just in a place right now where like, for me to really hit my potential, I gotta put that to the side and really focus on me and you know, building my own skill set, building my own habits and rituals so I can grow to the.
Is your dad local? Does he live here?
Yeah, he's born and raised in Salem as well. He's an author, so he worked for the state for. He went to high school at Jervis, and then
big city of Jervis. Okay.
Went to community college at Chemeketa. He pretty much saw like, what degree can I get the quickest that'll make me the most amount of money. He grew up just like super, super poor, family in poverty, like almost homeless multiple times, and he wanted something different for himself. So I'm very grateful he had the foresight to like change the trajectory of his family tree.
Totally,
And
yeah.
so worked for the state and then retired like as soon as he could, and then started writing books. And now he has like 8 books out. So
Wow.
he's been having a lot of fun with that for sure.
How about your mom?
She passed away actually when I was in 5th grade.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so she died from a brain cancer. Very unfortunate for sure. And like,
Were you close to your mom?
yeah, she was incredible, like super empathetic. Talking to her family, like they still tell me like how much I remind them of her. And it was especially hard when I had kids, and I was like, man, I wish they could have had a relationship with her and got to know her a little bit. And then my dad is remarried to. They've been married for like 20 years now. And so like having the conversation of like, yeah, that's grandma, but like my mom is this person. It was kind of hard as well. But she's incredible as well. Great with kids, great with my dad. So definitely very blessed to have her in my life also.
Cool. Sounds like your dad had a big impact on your life and who you are today. The whole drinking thing, I grew up in a Christian home, quasi-Christian. We were starting to go to church in high school, but I was still drinking and stuff. Do you think it's influence of your buddies that led you to drinking?
I think it was a want to be desired and accepted.
Okay.
For sure. In high scholl, when I was making music, I actually made a song about this, but like people would say they like me better when I'm drunk. And so I'll do the little rap. Like people used to say they like me better when I'm drunk, conservative and shy, turn confident and fun. And so like when I was drinking, I would like life of the party, just interacting with everybody. I just had a great energy, and then I'd be back at school like the next week and like kind of shy. I wasn't sure if I should talk to these people, if they liked me or not. And so like being part of this group where we were like partying together, we'd smoke weed together, and like I had a good time, you know what I mean, for sure. But there definitely was a like, all right, now I'm accepted in this community. We have this thing in common, this thing that kind of bonds us together, which I didn't really have previous to that. Like my life was really around sports and basketball and track, and I had a group of cousins that we hung out that we were pretty close with. But like that was the first time I really had like a group of friends that we like really connected on a consistent and I guess somewhat meaningful level. Yeah. So I think that led to a lot of it. And then it just kind of carried out throughout college, where I just kind of continue living that. And, you know, the music just kind of, I was in situations where that was a big part of it as well. And yeah, just not a productive thing, like exciting and fun and like enjoyable in the moment, but like kind of a downward spiral though, right? Like it's not leading anywhere productive. It's just kind of like keeping your attention and then manipulating your life in all the wrong ways. Yeah.
Okay, so you go to church currently. Did you grow up going to church? When did you become a believer? How's God working in your life?
Yeah, so I grew up Catholic. We went through like most of the sacraments. When I was in high school, we were going through confirmation, which is like the final boss of Catholicism, I guess. Yeah. And I told the priest, like, I just have a lot of questions. I'm not going to commit my life to Catholicism. And kind of stepped away from the church for most of my 20s. And it's kind of an interesting story. So when my brother was getting married, and my brother has been just incredibly faith-based his entire life. Like even to this point, this never questions like God's ability to provide. And I think it's just exceptional. And for his bachelor party, it was definitely, before he got married, it was a much different bachelor party. Like we went to Portland, got Salt and Straw ice cream, and then I went to a Saturday night service. And it was like, in that service, I just felt called, like, this is what's missing in my life right now. Like, I've just been ignoring this belief that I have in God and this relationship. I haven't been nurturing the relationship. I had another friend, Jason Gunlock, who's actually the principal at Candelaria right now, who I knew in my 20s, and he kind of had this awakening much earlier than I did. And so it's something that he was pretty excited about, where it's like, man, this is awesome. Like one of my good friends is also like on this journey with me. And I go to church with him now at West Salem Foursquare, and our kids are friends. And so it's cool to like have that relationship as well. But yeah, it was at that moment that I kind of realized like, this is something that's part of me that I have just kind of been ignoring and trying to not see. You know, I try to like, I remember like conversations, right? I would feel like, man, like this doesn't feel right. But I would kind of ignore it and be like, well, and I think I struggled with I think we all have our own questions around faith, but like, do I only believe this because I was taught this since I was born? And so I struggle with that. Lots of questions around faith. Like religion's a huge conversation, but for me, that was my journey.
Yeah. Well, I love that you're really involved in the community, and for whatever reason, you and I met 6 months ago, and Mike Peterson introduced us. But then I know you're doing a lot of things. Like when I follow you on Instagram or whatever, you've got a couple Instagram channels. I think you're still leading a Bible study. Talked with Travis this morning. You're helping him. You're all in. And so talk to me about kind of your journey of why you want to influence Salem, and what does that mean to you?
Yeah, I think I'm passionate about Salem. I love this city. I lived here my whole life. I think we have so much potential. We have a lot of value that we have right now. I think we struggle with our identity and how we talk about ourselves as a city. And I think the more people we have that are like reinforcing the positive elements, the better we'll all be because of it. And I think that's one of the consistent themes I want to be part of the What's Happening Salem channel which is an Instagram page where I'm just Salem updates, what's happening in Salem. Some of it's just kind of fun stuff, a lot of memes, and then some actual news as well. So kind of a blend of it all. But like a consistent theme I want is like, let's highlight the positive things that are happening and the cool things that are happening in the city. Because if we all change the narrative of how we see ourselves as individuals, but as how we see ourselves as a city, it'll be a lot easier for us to take steps in that direction. Because the things that are recognized get repeated, right? It's true at home with your kids. It's true like teachers teaching your kids. It's true on teams. But it's also true as a community. Yeah. Like if we are only talking about the negative things that are happening, we're going to see more negative things.
It's going to happen.
If you start focusing on the positive and the inspirational things that are happening, we'll see more of that. So
is that channel pretty new? The What's Happening in Salem?
We started the last couple of months, so it's brand new.
How many followers you already have?
So we're it's there's the last couple of weeks we've gained 1,000 followers each week, and we have a couple of videos that are 400,000 views. Really? We have a pretty good streak of 10 to 30,000 views per video. It's pretty phenomenal, and a lot of engagement in the comments as well. And the advantage we have right now is that the news business has just kind of broken. We went from print to digital, but even now digital, what a lot of I won't say any names, but a lot of local media companies do is they post a headline with a link to their website to see the news, and then there's a paywall in front of it, so you can't access it.
Right.
Which is their business model. It's too late for them to fix it. They're just they're making enough money with this business model that they're not incentivized to change it. But it provides me a unique advantage because I can just give the people the information right up front.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you don't have to click on anything. You're just scrolling through your Instagram feed and you have the information.
Yeah.
And I think just with my background, one in journalism, which I did study journalism as part of my advertising degree, but then also just being involved in social media for my entire life. I've just made so much content over the years, it's ridiculous. I know how to formulate a video where it's going to be more engaging.
Yeah.
And I tried really hard with the leadership video, and I just never quite got the traction for the effort I was putting into it. So it's been a lot of fun now to see those things put into practice with What's Happening Salem, and see okay, this is working. And I think it was just a product market fit thing. I think we have the right product. There's a fit in the market that we have, and there's a need for it. Yeah. So it's been fun.
When you say is somebody on your team? Does somebody help you run that channel?
It's just me right now. I have one person that's helping out with the newsletter, so there's a newsletter as well.
Got it.
So they're helping source a lot of the weekend updates. So with the newsletter, every week we post just a list of here's what's happening in Salem. There's great publications that are doing Press Play Salem. They do a good job with the arts and music, but we're trying to combine that with sports and family events as well. So you have kind of an overarching just view of what's happening in Salem for that week.
Yeah. Is Instagram your favorite channel, like Facebook, TikTok, YouTube?
I think Instagram right now is the channel where you see a lot of really engaging conversations and community happening, and it's a slightly younger audience than Facebook.
Facebook is average 50?
So
that's where I'm at,
slightly
younger.
Mostly. I'm getting there, man. I'm getting there. But it's a slightly younger audience, and it seems like there's just kind of a fun energy on that platform right now.
Yeah.
TikTok was for leadership, TikTok is what did the best for me.
Okay.
I had a lot of success with my videos there that wouldn't do as well on Instagram. But the tough thing about TikTok is it's harder to build community because you don't necessarily see the people you're following's post. You kind of see posts that TikTok knows you'll like based on the algorithm.
Got it.
I think Instagram still does a good job of allowing you to see people you follow, like their posts are still highlighted for the most part.
Got it.
And I think it was good timing also because they had recently made a change where they announced like we want to help smaller content creators be more visible. And that was like right when What's Happening Salem launched. So I think that helped give us a little boost also.
Yeah. So how many people are you coaching right now? I mean, do you have like a roster? What's your goal? And I love you talked about, when you're getting people in coaching, having them get crystal clear on what it is they want. Most people walk around like, I don't know what I want.
Yes. Most people spend more time planning a vacation than they spend planning their life.
Isn't that interesting?
It's just like, we just kind of go with the flow. Opportunities come. Sometimes we say yes. And sometimes we even keep ourselves in a situation we don't like because we just don't want to change.
Yeah.
And like we acknowledge like this is not making me happy, but that we see that as a better option than taking a risk and trying to find something that actually will give us fulfillment and happiness.
Yeah, crazy.
And I think with the coaching role is I can help people stay out of that trap.
Yeah.
Where they're not making decisions based out of fear. They're also not making decisions based from overconfidence, but they're coming from a confident, clear-headed vantage point where they're taking in the information that they have and allowing themselves to make a decision based on that information, as opposed to getting stuck in paralysis analysis where you're constantly trying to find more information but never making a decision. And then even like creating imaginary barriers. Like I just need to read 5 more books and then I'll be able to start a business.
And
you don't
then,
need to read a book.
yeah.
You just need to get a customer. Like stop. You know what I mean? Yeah, you don't need a website. You don't need a logo. You need to go find somebody that'll pay you to do your service. Like start there. All the other stuff can come later. So just putting people in the place where they can make those confident decisions. You asked about my roster. I currently have 6 coaching clients, and then 2 I work with as a fractional COO, where I'm helping them with their systems, working with their managers, and just more hands-on and engaged with their day-to-day operations, which has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, and that's a higher level platform. So how long you were at T-Mobile, and then you left T-Mobile just recently to do this full-time?
So I worked for T-Mobile for about 13 years.
Okay.
I started just answering phones, customer service, and worked my way up through leadership. And they have an internal consulting position there that I had career paths for a while. And I got the job, and like there wasn't really a next thing that I wanted. So started looking at other opportunities. Started the McLaren Leadership Foundation with the support of Tom Hofford in the Salem Chamber, which was a lot of fun working there for a year and getting even more engaged in the community. And then while I was at the chamber, I started building an audience for myself on Twitter, talking about leadership, and that led to an opportunity with this company called Workweek, based out of Austin, Texas. Just an amazing team over there, and we built the Leaders Lens newsletter together. I own it at this point, and I also worked for them for about a year as their director of creator success. Excuse me. So I left them in November. We separated, and since then I've been doing full-time coaching.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. That's exciting, man. What a journey you're on right now.
Yeah, lots of fun stuff, for sure. The Leadership Kaiser is something else that we launched recently in partnership with the Kaiser Chamber. So I helped the Salem Chamber revamp their community leadership program. So it's been fun to bring that to Kaiser and just another way to connect people. Yeah. Like people are so lonely right now, like working from home, ordering Uber Eats, watching Netflix at night. Like it all happens in home. Like you're so encouraged just to stay at home, hooked to your screen. It's so convenient and easy. But we need community to be at the best. Yeah. I think the church really served that purpose for a long time, and people aren't as active in the church. Yeah. Then like people, like you had your office and those were kind of your friends, but now people don't always go to the office. A lot of people are working from home. Yep. And so there's not a lot of places for people to be encouraged and feel invited to connect with each other. So like, I'm really intentional on thinking through how can I create some of these opportunities to bring people together. And I don't need to be like the star of the show in these. Right. I prefer not to be usually, right? Okay. I don't mind being on stage. Like the rapper in me, it's always okay to grab a mic and like, have a good time on stage and hopefully say something meaningful. But like I just prefer to, I really enjoy setting the table and like finding a way to facilitate a conversation amongst the group. Yeah. Is it something you like every week obviously you're doing lots of things in the community, but I mean, for me, I like grabbing coffee with guys. I mean, you and I did that. Yeah. But I'd probably do it once a day, twice a day.
something I really enjoy doing. How do you connect with people? What's your main method?
So sometimes I will just grab my phone and make a video just telling somebody how much I appreciate them. I've been trying to get in the habit of doing that more. You sent me a video recently, which I appreciated. I was like, yeah, same wavelength. I'm going to do the same sort of stuff. I love it.
I forgot I actually did that. But okay, cool.
But so I try to do that, just like finding ways to connect with people and reminding people that I appreciate them. I do like coffee is fun. I like actually, so something I do often is I invite people to my house and like food, bring a drink over and like, let's just connect. And I usually try to find like common themes of the people I'm inviting and like think of people I know would value from each other. And it's been awesome, like seeing those people hang out with each other outside of the meeting. Yeah. And then I've even have people tell me that like most of my friends I've met at your house, Jake, which is so cool, like to have that happen. So it's fun to like see those connections happen outside of the same thing happened with when I was at the Salem Chamber and we launched the Emerging Leader programs. Right. And you would see people meet at an Emerging Leader event and then like I see them on Instagram like posting pictures, getting coffee together. Perfect. And it's just cool to play that role where it's like you met at this event that I helped facilitate and now like you're friends and you're making things happen in the community. Yeah. And there's power there for sure. Yeah, it sounds like you're a connector, not your superpower in a way. I mean, and we're all gifted with something. I think that's the thing that we forget. You know, a fish doesn't know he's in the water. That's just normal. But we're all gifted with something. And sometimes, you know, I'm wondering, hey, Lord, do I have any gifts? Because I'm different than Jacob, man. He's got stuff. He's tall. He can play basketball. Yeah. I wasn't gifted with that. I'm a short white guy, you know? Wish I was a little bit taller. Wish I was a baller. Yeah, exactly. Probably a song you think. There is that like comparison all the time of like, I'm here, but like this person's here. Right. And the thing is, like, usually, like, where we see that person is based off of, like, their social media presence or some idea of who that person is. But, like, the reality is, like, we're all out here figuring it out. I think me and you, we talk to enough people that are, like, most people would consider doing pretty well for themselves. And you get to know them at a personal level. We all know they have their struggles also, right? Like, nobody has it all put together. I think every man struggles with feeling like some area of his life is getting left behind a little bit. And, like, I was meeting with a guy this morning, met with two guys actually. I authentically show up and just have no ulterior motive, like, hey, how's it going? And it's interesting, this one guy, he's a little older, he started crying twice. Like there was just a tenderness in his heart that it was interesting. I didn't expect that, but I always love that because now he's being authentic and genuine and you know, he's not afraid to maybe tear up a little bit. But he teared up a few times and it was interesting, but we're guys. We are broken. Me too. Yes. And I'm no different than anybody else. Life is a fair playing field. Like no matter how good we look on Instagram or Facebook, we got problems. For sure. And so what I realized with guys is I have to be transparent first. Like here's where I'm challenged. Here's what I'm going through. You know, and then they go, wait, you have problems? Yes. Yeah. So careful what you compare to. Yes. Because comparison is the thief of joy. 100%. So I find myself comparing sometimes like, stop. Nope, this is me. This is where God has me right now, and I'm good with that. I love that. So I love that approach. Something I practice a lot is negative visualization. The idea behind that is like you take time to imagine your life without all of the things that you love. And like really imagine it. Like what would your life actually be like if like you didn't have your kids any longer, your house gets taken away, your health deteriorates, right? And then like after thinking about your life that way, you come back and look around, it's like, I should really be grateful for a lot of this stuff. Because even though like I want to be here, like I'm shooting for this, I'm working hard to get here, like I can still appreciate these things right now in my life. And I don't think enough people do that. I don't think enough people really take time to like really appreciate the blessings that they actually have in their life. Because we have a lot of good things happening. You know, there's things we can work on. Of course, nobody's perfect. No life is perfect. But like if we're like really honest with ourselves and we can look around, like there's a lot to be grateful for. Yeah. It's funny. One of the guys I was talking to this morning, we're talking about the word discontent or gratitude, just exactly what you're talking about. You ever see the picture of the cow? He's on one side of the fence, but he's reaching his head through the wires and he's eating the grass on the other side of the fence. Okay. From our perspective, the grass is always greener somewhere else. Yeah. But when we operate in gratitude, we're actually
thankful for what we do have, not discontent for the things we don't have.
Yes.
And it's easy to get there. But if you're struggling, work on gratitude. What are you actually grateful for what you do have?
100%.
You know, that negative visualization that you talk about. But I think we can all work on that a little bit.
For sure. And then even like being grateful, like, hey, like maybe this grass isn't as green as I would like it to be, but I got a hose and some water and some fertilizer.
Come
like
on.
if I give this some attention, like this grass, I can get this grass where I want it to be.
Yeah. I always say the water or the grass is greener where you water and fertilize it. So that's actually, I'm speaking to myself when I'm, you know, discontent or whatnot. But
for sure. That's me as well. Like I've been thinking a lot about that with just my life and like where I'm at, being grateful that to be 7 months into a business, I'm at where I'm at. Like, it feels really good. But then also realizing like I could stretch this a lot further. I can impact a lot more lives if I'm really intentional about it. And I think the biggest struggle that I find, and this kind of gets back to a question you asked earlier, with growth is letting go of things. Because there are like stories we tell about ourselves that hold us back. There are habits we have that are holding us back. There are just beliefs that we have that are holding us back. And if we can let go of some of those things that maybe served us at one point in time but are no longer serving us, it's going to create space for these things that can actually serve us. A more powerful conversation, a more powerful habit. But it requires us being intentional about like, let me just let go of some of these things that aren't helping me any longer.
We love to hang on to the old thing. Like we're going to drag this old thing into the future, and it might be misery and whatever it is. But if we just let go, and by the way, I can't be present with you if I'm hanging on to something over here and worrying about something over here. So, wow, we have some work to do for sure.
All of us, it's a constant process too. Like you're never done. You keep like growing and evolving, and you have to continue to let go of these old conversations that you're having.
Well, when you think about Jacob in 10 years, when you're 51, what's it look like? You married? What's your boys doing? Where do you live?
Yeah.
You think about that kind of stuff? Are you
For sure. Yeah, I definitely am a future thinking person. Yeah. Absolutely. To the point I have a hard time staying in the moment sometimes. I don't reflect on the past as much as maybe I could, unless it's directed towards like a future decision.
Yeah.
But more than anything, I want to like, you know, be have a strong group of Christian men around me, have a great relationship with my kids. My kids asked me for a couple months ago, like, what do you want for Father's Day? I was like, I just want a great relationship with my kids. And they go, well, Dad, you already have that. And I was like, thank you for saying that, because I'm really trying out here for sure. Yeah. And I think those things on top. Definitely would love to be in a committed, you know, relationship with you know, somebody I want to spend my life with. Yeah. Helping dads still like create community and get together. And I'm really excited about this dads community. I mean, there's a need for it. Yeah. It's directly aligned with things I've been working on in my life as far as developing skills and forming community, both online and in person. The coaching aspect definitely, and facilitation will definitely play a role in it as well. So there's a lot of things that a lot of skills I've developed over the years that I think will allow this to be a successful thing. So I'm excited to see where we can grow, and we're kind of getting started and building it as we go, as I get feedback from members and what they're looking for. So it'll be fun to see how it grows and evolves over the years.
And you're doing, are you doing a live thing today at noon or 1 or something?
Yeah, so today we have a session, a friend I met online, Dr. Michael Steiner, who teaches a couple of AI courses at a university level. He's going to be talking about AI and how we can be talking about with our kids, what's coming, like what are the things that we should be concerned about, what are things that maybe have a negative narrative but aren't as, maybe we shouldn't be as concerned about. So it'll be a good time just to ask questions on like what's here now, what's coming, and you know how is it going to be impacting our kids' lives. Yeah. Well, I'm paying attention. I'm definitely interested personally to your leadership and want to learn. If somebody wants to reach out to you and just learn more about you, which way do you prefer? They call you, Instagram, message you? Yeah, Instagram is great. Smoke signal. Dad and Company is a underscore at the end of it. Dad and Company, then underscore is my Instagram handle. Also my website, jacobespinoza.com. You can book a call right on there as well. There's rarely a day I can't jump on a 15 or a 20-minute call with somebody. So
is that a free call? Just an intro? Hey,
exactly.
How can you help me?
100%. And I'll say, even if we don't end up working together, like I promise you'll take away something from that call that'll help you with your business or finding balance in your life. So we'd love to connect with people. Pretty
cool. Well, brother, we're wrapping up in about an hour, and we don't make this a Joe Rogan 3-hour podcast. Maybe one day, and I think down the road, I'd love to have you maybe come back on, get through a year of your coaching, and what impact you're making in our community, because I know you're making an impact, and I love that.
I appreciate that. We're launching the Dad and Company podcast as well, so I'd love to have you on as a guest at some point. It'd be fantastic.
All my mistakes, man. I'll confess all.
Tell me about everything you did. First question, tell me all the mistakes you made.
All the mistakes you did.
Yeah.
No, just to encourage you, Jacob. I mean, Mike introduced you and I. We had a great first coffee. I know you invited me to your Bible study. I was already plugged into one. But I appreciate that about you, that like Travis said, you listen. And really what I want to leave on the podcast today is the verse that is on my heart is James 1:19-20 says, "Be quick to listen, slow to speak, slow to anger, for the anger of a man does not achieve the righteousness of God." And the thing I have to remember is I have 2 ears and 1 mouth. And oftentimes I think I have 2 mouths and 1 ear. So I think coaching, and maybe you would agree on this, it's just really about listening. And that's what I heard Travis say about you, that you're a great listener, you're intentional. And as you coach your kids and, love on your kids, listen to what they need and you're hearing them. So it's good. Most guys don't get that. Heck, I'm still learning that one.
Every day it's a struggle. Every day for sure. But I appreciate that.
Well, thanks for coming on, being a part of our show. I'll be watching you, praying for you. And be faithful, man. Just people are watching you.
100%.
So thanks again, and we'll see you soon. Thanks, you guys.